ourselves trying to figure out the dynamics of who we are and what is in store and what is expected of us. Many of you, along with myself, have found ourselves trying to be what we're supposed to be, but to become that has been quite challenging. But God is faithful to do for us what we can't do ourselves. And sometimes you just got to turn the cycle around. Because if you keep going the way you've been going, if you don't change the situation or the position, it'll get more complicated. So don't fight it. Trust God to turn your situation around. Thank you for joining us today at the Tabernacle, where we say that the word is on and know that we love you. Give God a hand clap and praise. World changes. Come on, come on. If you would turn this around for me quickly, Chairman, so we can get started. I'm so thankful for all of you all that supported the woman of God last night. And I can't say enough how valuable you are to me. You what they call, you filled in the hole in my life. You are the one that God said, before I was even born, you were the one. And sometimes the one that is the one, we don't recognize the one. But my life is the better because I met Sandy. And Sandy is the apple of my eye. And I salute you as my wife, my friend, and the woman of God in my life. I look forward to our day to come. Tuesday's going to be special. It's going to be special. I'm out of the house for 2 weeks. I want you to see this thing today. I have really been indulging myself into what I'm going to be sharing today as we started Sunday. And my wife did such a tremendous job in sharing what she shared. And Pastor Anderson will be sharing with us coming Wednesday on some powerful stuff that God gave him that it really is in sync in what we're teaching. How many of you can say you found your life to be dysfunctional? Be honest, let me see your hand. Because when you think about dysfunction, I was talking to my daughter, Anita. Anita is actually in school getting her master's in counsel. And she is one that has gone through the military and have had some setback with PTSD. But she's allowed herself to advance her ability to help others in dealing with the things that we all go through. So at some point, if today or down the road, we're going to be incorporating her into what we're talking about deliverance from the dysfunctional cycle. When you hear the word deliverance, someone tell me, what do you think that word means, deliverance? What does the word deliverance mean? Set free. If I'm not mistaken, there's a scripture in the Bible somewhere. It says, whom the Son of God set free is free at some point. So you hear the word indeed. What would be indeed? For certain. So it's for certain that God can and will deliver us. But I think the biggest deliverance, son, is that we need to become delivered from us. See, you can't blame everything on the devil. He does what he does. That's his doing. He was created to worship God, but he decided he didn't want to do that, so he became the darkness of the world. And in his darkness of the world, he became angry with God that he said, I'm gonna do everything I can to annihilate the creation that he created after him and not like me. Because the Bible did not say that the angel was created in the image of God. It said God created mankind in his image. And in mankind's image, the devil's desire is to take us out. And normally, it's with the things that we deal with each and every day. My daughter, Amistress, works for DFAS, and she deals with some of the dysfunction that families go through in childbearing or children or parenting, where they have to have opportunity to revamp themselves or get a second chance to do what they should have done from the beginning. How many know everybody miss it? So this message is not so much the humors that I normally have, because you're dealing with serious stuff. And serious stuff requires serious response and solution. And you're not going to get it with a hooping and hollering message. You're not going to get it with trying to entertain people. You're only going to get it when you hear and see yourself. Tell your neighbor, see you, and not me. That's for husband and wives as well. Because sometimes when someone is hearing the word, the first thing we say, that sounds like my wife. That sounds like my husband. No, don't do that. That sounds like my children. No, we want you to focus on you. Because each and every one of us have experienced some type of dysfunction that if it's not dealt with, it grows even bigger. Does that make sense? I asked my daughter Anita yesterday. I said, when you hear, like I have what they call OCD, and OCD is a situation where everything has to be in order, in sync. You come to my closet in my home. All my white shirts are here, my blue shirts, my black shirts, my pink shirts, my purple shirts, and every now and then, when the cleaners deliver my clothes to the house, they'll mix my clothes up. Like they have 3 white shirts and a black shirt in the middle and a blue shirt and then another white shirt. That just literally takes me like, I got to call these folks. I don't pay for this kind of service for y'all to mix my clothes up. I'm serious. To the point, I took her lunch the other day and said, please make sure y'all put my clothes in order when y'all deliver them. Now, I want you to think about this. The reason of my struggle of wanting things in a certain way is probably a reflection of my childbearing coming up. My mom was a neat freak, and everything's had to be a certain way. So I learned some of that from her. Would that make sense, Anita? So now that is not a sin, but it becomes dysfunction when it's enforced on others. See, your OCD is yours. Don't make it mine. I'm testifying for my wife. Because I'm the one that the toothpaste got to be squeezed from the bottom up. Put the cap back on. Wipe the sink when you're finished. And whatever you do, flush the toilet. So, no, that's not our issue. That's not our issue. My wife is far from nasty. But what I want you to understand is that this OCD is mine. It's not yours. It becomes dysfunction when I make you be responsible for my situation. My behavior has nothing to do with you. I have to acknowledge it, recognize it, and be willing to do what I have to do about it. Because years ago, y'all remember when I'd be preaching up a storm, and the Lord is good, and pick up a piece of paper and put it right in my pocket and keep on preaching. That was a distraction. But I felt like I had to pick up that paper, and then I made it became the bylaws of world changes. That if you see something on the floor, don't wait for the cleaning people to get it. You get it right then. You're an investor. You're a member of this church. So I found myself imposing my situation on other people. So the wife that I have has a way of revealing the reality in your life and put you at the round table before that became a round table to discuss this round table matter. Thank you. But my point is this. How many of you can test to this, that you found yourself trying to make others to adopt to your condition? Does that make sense? And when you're trying to make people to adapt to your role and your ways, you are imposing your belief on them or your hang-ups on them that puts the family in dysfunction. Because now you're making a mandate. When we first got married, Demetrius and Dana, I had this thing because I was always been this way. When you get out your bed, you make it up. Now, when my wife got out of bed, I'm thinking she'd get ready to get up. I just start screaming the bed up. But it's a bathroom break at 4 in the morning. Because I've gotten up early, I'm assuming that when she got out of bed and the door was closed, she was ready to get up and seek the Lord with me. Tell you that was not so. It was called 50-plus break. That means if you get 50, you go to the bathroom a lot. So, however, I would straighten the bed up, say at 7, 8 in the morning. My wife loves to sleep, like most women do. Extended version, like, the norm is to get up at 7 a.m. To me, that's normal. For her, it's 10 o'clock with an open eye, maybe not. However, so I would straighten the bed up, and she'd come back and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" What? I said, "I thought you was up. I thought you was getting up. I thought you was feeling like I was feeling. Let's go ride the bikes." And she wasn't feeling that. So basically, I made a something that I enjoy, that I think is important to me, and made it hers. What she did, what most people don't do, is she refused to let it be hers. See, some of you let your children dysfunction, or mom and them, that's in our culture, mom and them, dysfunction become ours. And then we start doing what they did and don't understand why we're doing it. Now, that's just a part of it. Now, but I want you to understand this. Here we have dysfunction, which means failure to achieve or sustain a behavioral norm or expected condition as in a social relationship. That's what we started off with. The word cycle is an interval of time during which a characteristic, often regularly repeated event or sequence of events occurs. In other words, it's a cycle. It starts here and they keep going round and round. And nothing changes. You ever experienced that? You know you shouldn't be doing this, but you're constantly doing it. And you don't realize you're doing this. It's a vicious cycle. It is something that you don't want to do, but you've gotten out of control with it. And now it's controlling you. It don't have to be always sin related. It just can be something that caused you to be out of the norm with others, but to you it's normal. And what we have to learn to do when it's dealing with this cycle is to recognize that you are on the cycle and you got to get off it. Either get off it or break it so you can escape. Because what happened is your life has come conditioned to this situation that now it becomes generational. Not only are you experiencing it, now your children are doing the very thing that you did that wasn't supposed to have been done, but because no one had the knowledge to recognize that there's a family dysfunction going on here. How many can say you got some dysfunction in the family other than yourself? Because we quit to point the finger at others, but you got to look at yourself. So that's what we got to recognize when you're dealing with dysfunction, and when you're dealing with you and then you're dealing with others, you have to recognize there are consistent patterns. The pattern of this thing. How do we break the pattern? How do we break the habit? How do we stop doing what we're not supposed to be doing? How can we achieve a victory over this situation? Because it doesn't feel comfortable to be the way I am. That's my acknowledgement. So once you acknowledge it, then you start working on you to prevent you from making other people be like you. Because many times we say, we want my children to be like me. No, no, no. Not in everything. Because some things that we got going on, something we're doing, is not children inherited. Or you shouldn't want it to be. But if you don't address the issues in the generational cycle, which means in our family heritage, lineage, are things that happen that was never talked about with the family. In fact, let me do something. Go John 10 and 10 quickly. It says the thief coming not. Somebody said coming not. That means he come for one purpose. But for to steal and to kill and to destroy. Now, the other part when Jesus come in, he says, I am come that they might have what? And that they may have it. In other words, he came to liberate you and I. The devil's ultimate goal is to stifle or to stop the movement of the family. Or to prevent generations from getting delivered. Because if your mama or daddy was a drunkard, the chance of you being a part of that lifestyle is very high. Only way you don't go that road, you got to have Christ in your life. Only Jesus can set us free. Because it's our natural nature to do what we see and what we have been around. You ever recognize there's some things that you do in life that you never saw your parents did, but you find yourself doing some of those things? And then you find out through history of the family that great-granddaddy did that? That's that generational thing. Are you following me? Somebody said break the generational cycle. So the thief, the devil coming not but to steal, to kill, and to destroy the very essence of who you are, and to keep you from going to the next level. If he can prevent you from being the man and woman of God that God designed you to be, you just don't realize how valuable you are. You're so valuable, it's why the devil's messing with you. If there was nothing about you, he would not be messing with your home. He would not be attacking your children. He would not be attacking you personally. Because you have an assignment on your life of the God that created you, the devil himself said, I must start with a vicious cycle of dysfunction. And sometimes we focus so much on dysfunction, we can't even come out of it. Don't make your dysfunction become a trophy. Don't make it a plaque that you put on the wall. Well, this is the way I am. No, 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 no. The way you are is not the way everybody wants to have to be with you. No one has to accept your dysfunction. Well, it's just the way I am. I've always been a jackass. You went in a jackass when we was dating. How many of you ladies, if you knew, well, if you knew, all right. I'm scratching my feet now. It's been to come on now. But how many can say that the devil has literally invaded your home and your life? He's caused havoc in your family. He's caused issues for you that you wasn't even prepared for. I'm not talking about when you weren't saved. I'm talking about now that you are saved. Because if the word is true, which it is, it says that Jesus came that it may be free and free indeed. And delivered to be set away from, to be set apart, to be brought out of. And I want you to understand something, that our walk in Christ is a process. And in that process, you're going to learn some things about you that you didn't know about you. But once you start learning those things and you see those things, do something about them. Don't put everything at the responsibility of someone else. There are things in your life that you must own yourself. And when you own it, you can deal with it. Tell your neighbor, own your stuff. I tell people all the time when they come down to pastoral care and counsel, my wife does a great job at her and the mic, because once I hit, I'm done. Because I'm thinking now it's time to move to the next level. I'm not going to keep kicking a dead horse. The horse is dead. Now, if we don't have food, let's slice him, boil him, and eat him. But if he's not going to get up and be a horse again and carry me around the land, then we need to do something about this. It'll be dysfunction. Keep looking at the horse and get up, get on up. James Brown not going to bring him back. He's dead. There's things in your life that are dysfunction that God has taken out of your life and have crucified, but you reached back and you brought them back to existence. Oh, it's been a long time since I felt like that. Why are you reminiscing on how you felt when God brought you out of that? Does this make sense? So he coming not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. Now, I want to do something. Go to Romans chapter 7, verse 18, and verse 20, and then 24, and then we're going to get on to the types of dysfunctional cycle. Look at Romans chapter 7, verse 18. He says, for I know that in me, that is, in my flesh, which is your will, not this here, your will, dwelleth what? No good thing. For to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good I find not. Which is good I find not. I seem like I can't discover it. For the good, in verse 19 says, for the good that I would, I do not, but the evil which I would not, that I do. I'm going to read that again. For the good that I would, I do not. The things I should do, I'm not doing them. But the evil or the wickedness or the sinful thing, which I would not, that I do. And I do with passion. So now if I do that, I would not, it is no more I that do it, but sin. That what? Dwelling in me. It dwelling in me of my acceptance. In verse 24, Apostle Paul puts it clearly. He says, O wretched man that I am, who should deliver me from the body of this death, or belly, another translation of this struggle, or this stronghold. Last chapter, 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4 to verse 5. I want you to see this. It coincides with what we're teaching today. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4 and 5. He says, for the weapons of our warfare are not what? But mighty to whom? God. Who are they mighty through? God. Not to you, not through you, but mighty through God, to the pulling down of what? Casting down what? The way imagination has the word images in it, things that you see, that you visualize, and every high thing that exalted itself against what? The knowledge of what God has revealed to me about my liberation. And bringing into captivity every what? Some thoughts. To the obedience of Christ. How will anything become obedient to Christ of the dysfunction if it's not brought to Christ? If it's never presented to God, say, God, this is a situation in my life. How many know that God knows everything about you? But even though God knows about you, he wants you to recognize that it's about you. Because once you see you and you present it to God, now you and God can work with it. Can't expect God to do something that you're not willing to give up. Lord, deliver me. Well, I'm willing to deliver you, but are you willing to be delivered? See, it goes back to the will. Are you willing to submit your will to the will of God that you no longer do your will? Remember, Joshua, the battle is not the devil, is you in yourself deciding whether you're going to submit to him. Because once you submit to him, you no longer belong to you. In other words, we now become the slaves of Christ now. Our ownership is Jesus. And with that ownership, I'm no longer about me, but I'm about him. But if I get caught in my will about I'm going to do me, because that's that natural man, I'm going to do me now. And when you do you now, that's that dysfunction. That's the very thing that God brought you out of. Now you want to revert back to doing you. The question is, what are you? Who are you? Because if you're doing for Christ, you have lost your identity or who you used to be. If you go back doing you again, that means now you're taking back on the old man, and now you're performing out of the dysfunction that God brought you out of. How many can say that's a thing you used to do that you don't do no more? Which means you have authority and control over what you do through Christ. Now, if you don't overcome this, it's because you're not willing to give it up. And we don't give up something that makes us feel good. But when you get sick in your spirit about it, and it makes you feel unworthy and unvaluable, then it should be easy to give it up. I'm not going to have anything in my life that's going to make me feel less than who I am in God. Oh, you're learning something. So all it boils down to, men and women of God, is that we got to crucify our will. Because you don't crucify your will, you'll stay on this vicious cycle because you're doing you. And as long as you're doing you, you're never going to do God. And you can't blame somebody for something that you're doing that you want to do. I was vulnerable. No, you wanted to do that. Wait a minute, like, how did we get here? Because you participated. It's good stuff. How many know? Y'all remember that song, Papa was a Rolling Stone? Wherever he laid his hat, that was his home. How many know that's true? And the fact of that being true is because it was a dysfunction. And we made it a song and we had the nerve to dance with it. You dancing with the dysfunction. And that dysfunction dance you did, and you're re-announcing it, and you're singing with pride, now has taken over you, and now you're carrying out what that song was projected to do. Which means you got to be very careful what song you listen to. How many know a lot of songs got folks in trouble? You try to blame it on Luther. Luther had nothing to do with it. You did what you want to do because that's what you want to do. Luther didn't make no babies. You all did. Man, daddy gone. They still blaming him for that rebellious 19-year-old son. So dysfunction. Somebody say dysfunction. Dysfunction is not so much of what you actually can see, is what normally possesses in you that become visible to others. Because most of us do not see ourselves. We see others. And that's the trick of the enemy. To get you to see the person or other people other than you, because to you, everything is normal. Tell your neighbor it's not normal. So he says, cast down imagination in every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge, that exalts itself against what? The knowledge of God. How many know knowledge is power? And once you get knowledge of something, now it's your responsibility to do something about it. So you have the vicious cycle here, and inside this cycle, it consists of things that pertains to you as a person that needs to be eliminated. And it only be eliminated by your will to be willing to give it up. Let me reiterate that again. Your will has to be willing to submit itself to the true will of God, that you can overcome and be delivered from the stronghold of the dysfunction. Are you learning something? Let's talk about the types of dysfunctional cycles. Number one, the generational dysfunctional cycle. This cycle is generational, as I started earlier, where the family participation in a wickedness or involvement in something that's not of God. And because it's held in secrecy, it generates throughout the lineage of the family. Such as you had a family member that has a molestation issue. He was a pedophile. She was one that indulged in things that she had no business doing. And because the family wanted to keep it secret and nobody wanted to deal with it, now other members of the family that has not gotten it yet will be affected by it because nobody wants to talk about it because it's the family secret. That's a dysfunctional cycle. If you don't discuss the issue at hand, somebody's going to be affected by it. And their effects of what they are affected by, what you did not say or what you did not denounce, now become part of the family. So the whole family is going through this vicious dysfunction cycle of trying to understand the dynamics of why we don't get along. Why are we so angry with each other? Why can't we come to a family function and we can love and support each other? Because the chances are there were some things that happened in the family that the family did not want to talk about. It was the family so-called gold secret. I'll never forget my cousin that lived in another state was going with his own daughter. And I'll never forget, it was said in the family, don't nobody tell no one about that. That's family secret. Now, I'm slow when it came to that. That's not a family secret. I got to tell everybody I know. The spirit of Joseph came on me. Because this family member had got to the point that he literally had destroyed both of his daughters with intimacy. And because nobody wanted to discuss it, because if we talked about it, it would bring shame to the name. There's no shame to the name like that. It should be shameful to be willing to have your name attached to something as dysfunction as that and call it is a family secret. And then that people are being destroyed. And to this day, this young lady, now she's an older female now, has literally been locked in an institution because no one was willing to talk about it. Just 1 minute. So it's generational. Are you learning something? So why do the family have these issues that nobody wants to talk about? What is so unique about your name as a family that you would allow your children to be affected by something that would destroy them for the future? Okay, it's going to get tight here. Say the father has children outside the family when he was in the family. You listening? And if it's not addressed, his son will go do likewise. Or if the father physically abused the mother by physically harming her, what are the chances are that the son would do what his father did? Because what he has seen is the norm. He didn't see mom resist because mom didn't know how to resist. So he carries out what dad has done. Or, say the daughter saw mama while daddy was out in the military in the field, allowing other men to come into the house, unbeknown to him. What are the chances that the daughter going to do likewise? Oh, this is tough. I had a family member. I got some family. The daughter was riding with the mom and the daddy, and they were traveling, and the son was with them. They was little small kids at that time. And the daughter said to her dad, she said, Daddy, he said, what? I'm going to be just like mama. He said, why? That's good. Yeah, I'm going to be just like mama. I'm going to have a boyfriend and a husband. She's young. She don't know no better. She don't know no better. She just said it out. And now what happened on that ride, I don't know. All I know was it's a history. So the daughter says, I'm going to be like mama because mama had a boyfriend and a husband. So that's her norm. That's dysfunction. And because it happened and it wasn't ever literally done away with, it's now affect the family to this day. It's powerful stuff here. So that's generational. Nobody deals with it. Nobody talks about it. It's just family secret. Tell your neighbor, don't get uncomfortable. Number 2, the trigger dysfunctional cycle. Now, the trigger dysfunctional cycle is the things that cause you to do the thing you used to do. What sets you off? What puts you in that position you're not supposed to be in? Such as, say, one that struggled with pornography. The last thing he or she needs to do is watch stuff that reminds them even a small image of that. And if they don't cast that thought down, they will continue with that same vicious cycle of that stronghold that now has invaded their life, though they love the Lord and God loves them, but they got the dysfunction because the triggers that they know about, they won't deal with them. How many know when you recognize the trigger, it's the point, that's your goal, is to not let that thing set you off. This is good stuff. How many say you know your triggers? When you know your triggers, then you got to be very careful. Because triggers are what sets you in motion. And if it's that dysfunction you have, or that you're dealing with, that you're trying to overcome, or even have overcame, the last thing you need to do is play with the triggers. If it means stand distant from unhealthy relationships, then you stay away from them. Such as, if it comes to hugging a female, if it's going to arouse you, then you need not hug ladies at the church. But we all godly, we all brothers and sisters, yes, but you got a brother, sister too, touching a whole strong hole going on. So the dysfunction is, you know, if you see a woman that got a lot of asset and it causes you to look a lot, then you need to sit on the opposite side, and when they walk by, you just drop your head. Just go into prayer. Lord, thank you, Jesus. Because you're not gonna avoid seeing women with big dairy ass. You're not gonna avoid that. But what you can do is not be a participant. Well, like you got a stroke. You're looking too long. How many know if you look too long, they're gonna set you off. So whatever the trigger is, you have to recognize it. Once you know it, then what you got to do, you got to put in the focus of, I'm not going to let the devil rob me in this area anymore. Because no woman's going to, everybody in the women in the world are not going to go to a doctor and cut it off for you. Is this good stuff? I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable. I'm saying yes, I am. Because you have to recognize whatever your triggers are, don't let it get you. I'm trying to help somebody. Ladies, if you know seeing a good-looking man like Prophet Powell is a hindrance to you, don't look too long. Because I am not about to go nowhere. I ain't changing church. I ain't going to start looking good, so you might want to get over it. I mean, listen, think about it. If you know a man that's your attention, how many ladies, let's be honest, ladies, isn't that an ideal man? But she's single, she can say that. That's that fantasy man that she ain't going to ever get. Like, I don't get mad with my wife seeing Denzel on TV. He got old now. Got to come back home. My point is this. The trigger, this dysfunctional cycle is simple. It's the things that sets you off in a place you're not supposed to be. Okay, military people, raise your hand. What would be a trigger related to PTSD would cause you to kind of go in a slump? Loud noise. So around the time of 4th of July, Vern and Anita and all these ones that have served in the war, they hear loud noise. Well, we talking about how great, pop on, pow, boom, pow. They shutting down. Now, the trigger of that is the loud noise caused them to revert back from what they're trying to come out of. And the last thing they need is you and I participating and making it happen. That's just a surface thing I'm trying to get you to understand. So the trigger And what I want you to understand with that, when we hear the noise and we know that's going to be an event, we quickly we go in gear with prayer for these guys. And we start talking to them. We try to keep them distracted from the noise outside. And then we check on them and make sure they're okay. Because we already know that that trigger there is causing a problem. This makes sense? Number 3. Now that y'all don't cheat on your taxes, they gone. He gone too. The financial dysfunctional cycle is this. You have the money in hand and you don't do right with it. And because you don't do right with it, you spend it. Because if you don't spend it, it's going to be the end of the world. But the problem is, the very cycle that God brought you out of, in the finances, you back in it again. So the taxes come Christmas. So you're taking your return and taking care of some immediate needs, pay some things off, get better credit score, make things better. You decide it's time to go shopping, to get the most expensive weave on the market. So you wear, it's okay. It's okay. Wear the extra hair. That's fine. My point of this is, if you're going to take from what your obligations are, then you need to wear your natural. You ain't fooling us. We know you were short labor. How you going to be long this week? We know that. But the point is, that's your business. But if you do that at the point where it causes you and your family to struggle, and you can't manage your money, you got a problem going on here. It is good stuff. No, I'm not hating on you. I'm trying to help you. Because the dysfunction of this is, when it comes down to the finances of the family, if you're taking your money and you're taking and you're exploring it, and then the lights are being cut off the next month, that's a problem. And then already, we know people don't spend their income tax because they're calling the church saying, do y'all help people pay their light bill? Y'all laugh, this is true. That's a financial dysfunction. Mama didn't save, daddy didn't save, so you don't save no money. Mama didn't pay her bills, daddy didn't pay his bill, you don't pay your bills. You can't even apply for credit. No, more people, you can apply for credit. Your credit's so bad, you can't even apply for it. That means you're so financially dysfunction that they won't even give you a loan to buy a piece of bubble gum from the family. You have burnt the family so much with your mismanagement of your money that when you ask for a loan, they say, oh, no. Especially the kind of time, hey, I'm going to pay you back when I get my taxes. Tell you never don't do that. And then in the financial dysfunction is this. If he wasn't paying child support when he should have, how does he have the right to enjoy the finances now that you got to return? I guess R. Kelly right. Is it R. Kelly Nelly? Is he getting hot up in here? Keep them cool, because it's hot in here with this type of message. So the financial dysfunction is where you take your money, you spend it on what you want, and you want to ask others to help you out. Don't work like that. Now, there are things happen, unfortunate. Things can happen to people. We witness it all the time. We've been through that. But we learn when you can't afford it, you don't buy it. I was went shopping yesterday. I need a watch for the prom last night. I need a special watch because I was dressed special. Don't worry about my watch collection. I didn't have this watch. So I go in the store, and the lady says, "Can we help you?" I said, "I'm looking for a certain type of watch." And she said, "Well, we got them right over here." She said, "If you buy this, you buy this, and you open an account, you can get this, and we'll give you 10% off this." I said, "I didn't come to get 10% off now. I just came to buy this." She said, "You sure you don't want to get that extra 20% off by opening an account?" "No, I don't need that 20%. I'm going to pay cash for this right here." "Oh, you can pay cash, but still open an account." I said, "Listen, man, do you want to sell the watch or not? Now, you about to make my dysfunction come up in here." I'm telling her I don't need an account. I don't want an account. I got enough account to be the accountant. So I recognized that the enemy was trying to set me up to get an additional account that I don't need. So I buy the watch, and as I'm leaving, she said, "You sure you don't want to get that special gift for your wife for her birthday?" I said, "Trust me, I am the gift." And walked out. I am the gift. So people say, "How do you?" This is true. I was asking the kids, I got a certain budget that. So I tell Bontavian and Nicole, I said, "I got a budget. I want to get Mom a great birthday gift. This is my budget." And they respond like, "That's not normal, Daddy. That's not a normal budget." But I'm trying to get this thing complete. Y'all leave me alone. So I tell them what the budget is. They respond, "That's not normal. That's not a normal budget. That don't even make sense." Tell your husband get a good job. So my point of this is, I know financially what I can do, and I know financially what I don't need to do. I know financially what I can afford, and I know financially what I cannot afford. I don't buy stuff to impress people. I buy stuff because I like it for myself. Because after you compliment it, I still got to make that payment. "Man, that's a nice car. Do you want to help?" And some of us got an addiction to mismanage our money that we can't ever have any money. So you find yourself in a financial cycle, dysfunctional cycle. You just got debt free and you go right back into debt. Just got a breakthrough and you're right back into the slump again. You didn't listen to the Holy Spirit told you, "Don't do this. Don't buy that." Those shoes are dynamite. Well, that's old school. Those shoes are real nice. Think about good times. JJ. Those shoes are the bomb. That's dated too. Okay, those are some nice shoes. But to buy the shoes, knowing I can't afford them, though I have the money to buy them, but I really can't afford them, once I wear those shoes and they say, "Oh, those are nice shoes," they're not going to compliment those shoes again. So are you buying stuff for people to say things to you, or are you buying it because of what you want? And when you buy something that you can't afford, now you get an obligation. Now you risk, you can't even buy certain things, and you want to buy a house, you can't buy a house because financially you run yourself. You're not taking care of your money. I tell you got to take care of your money. Now, I'm not knocking Dana's business. I'm not knocking anybody's business or Joe's business. But if you can't afford to get your hair done this week, save your money. hope I ain't heard nothing about saying that. Because if you go to Dana to make you up and do your hair, and just for one night celebration, and you wake up Monday to my Lord, if you can make a way somehow. I did bless your servant, your woman of God, but I'm talking, this is the prayer they're praying about you. She was a woman of God, so, but God told you to the Holy Spirit, don't get your hair done, do your hair yourself. But you didn't do that, so you get Dana to do it. I hope no one did that, and now you sit in church Sunday morning, knowing that you got to pay that light bill tomorrow, and you had it, but you got your hair done. That's a financial dysfunction cycle where you're buying stuff for you that you can't afford. Can't afford that car, don't buy it. It's a good deal, but it's 72 months payment. That's not a good deal for you right now. Keep riding what you got. It's easy to buy a new set of tires. They make 72 payments. But I had this car for 5 years. It's time for me to get another one. I'm talking about myself. Number 4. Number 4, the inability, the social inability dysfunction. I call this the inability to socialize with people. You know, your socialization skills are kind of whack. You're kind of stuck on social media, and you live your life through social media. I'm waiting for a like. Give me some thumbs ups. No, you need, if the social media is causing you to be out of whack, you need to stay off it. No, everybody don't need to see you posing. Am I right about that? I don't understand why all the ladies, they'll take a picture on the scene. And then you got the inability to actually socialize with people that are different than you. That's a dysfunction. You feel inferior, intimidated, being around certain people. You're a child of God. You can be around anybody. Number 5, I call it the personality identity dysfunction cycle. That's the cycle of the identity issue, a crisis where folks don't recognize who they are, and they keep living their life through somebody else. So you don't know you. You don't even know your own value. You don't know your worth. So you get on this cycle of trying to be something that you're not. Number 6, the overly religious dysfunction cycle. Right. Now, we know Jesus and Jesus knows you. But sometimes, can we have a normal conversation? You ever met people that way? I mean, so when they come to the door, hallelujah, praise the Lord, how you doing? Blessed and highly favored. And broke. Come on. I understand constantly they beat out the word, but right now you're broke. Don't just say, God is working with me. Because sometimes we hide behind religion. And in that dysfunction, you make everyone else uncomfortable. How many revivals are you going to have in a month? So you went from church to church, revival to revival, trying to get a word just instead of reading your word. You got a man of God speaking on your life, but as soon as you leave, you got to go to another church. That's defeating the purpose. That's causing more havoc in your life. And the last one, give me some music, Moses, and let these folks go home. I call it the traumatized dysfunction cycle. Things that have traumatized your life, whether from a child, that puts you into this circle here, and you don't know how to escape. Just, even in there, you're creating a circle in the circle. This is dysfunction. It's the trauma. The situation that happened wasn't your fault, but it's it's causing you not to be free. It's causing you to be stuck when it was a trauma. And no one's telling you to act as though the trauma didn't happen, but at some point that trauma has to be set free from you. Because if you have one trauma, there's going to be other traumas. But don't let the traumatized situation become a cycle in your life. Get away with escape. Find a way to say, Lord, all these things that are dysfunction, cycles in my life, I'm going to put them at the altar. And I'm going to denounce these things. I'm not going to let my situation become other people. I'm going to take my own ownership. I'm going to recognize my own triggers. I'm going to recognize all the things that has caused me to be the way I am, act the way I act, and I'm going to release myself from it because greater is He that's in me than He that's in the world. I am not defeated. I am victorious through Jesus Christ. So in my confession, all dysfunction cycles in my life ends today. I take immediate dominion authority of all things that affected my life, that I cannot be the person that God called me to be. If you believe that, stand to your feet. God has called you and I to be in a better place, a higher place, and we are not the victim of the cycles anymore. You got to choose to walk away. In fact, everybody take your hand and act as though you got something like that you can break. This is the dysfunction that's in your life. I don't want you to focus on your spouse or your children, but the dysfunction in your life, on the count of 3, I want you to break it. And when you break it, I want you to throw it down and take 3 steps forward as though you're walking away. 1, 2, 3.
World Changes Tabernacle, led by Prophet Prathan Powell, is a word-based church committed to seeing you win. We're called to create a loving and caring community for all people and work together for justice and peace in our world. Recognizing that our spiritual journeys are all different, we strive to be respectful and inclusive concerning each individual's relationship with God. We believe that Christianity is a lifestyle, and we're committed to teaching, learning, and living the Word of God. It's more than a song, more than a shout, more than a dance. Whether you're a committed follower of Christ or just curious about God, you are invited to visit with us. Give us a call or check out our website for more information or to see our sermon times.